Good evening, YouTubers. This is Zip Code Freak. Matt Shiny here in the 92805 zip code on this Tuesday, June the 9th in the evening at the ZCF studios here in Southern California. And we're starting Pennsylvania. And our first zip code that we'll be discussing on this show in that state is 15075, an area known as Rural Ridge, Pennsylvania, what they call a CDP, a census designated place. It started life as a company town, 1922. It's located about 17 miles northeast of downtown Pittsburgh. It's still in Allegheny County, where Pittsburgh is. And to give you a contrast of what you can find in Allegheny County has 1.2 million people or so. The Pittsburgh Metro has almost 2.5 million. This place has 22 people. It was a company town, as I said, founded in 1922. It used to have several hundred here. And it was a coal patch, a company town devoted to digging the coal seam that was outside of Pittsburgh, one of a number, I believe. A lot of times people tend to forget that this area really is essentially in Appalachia's backyard. In fact, Pittsburgh itself is considered the metro of Appalachia, and I think coal mining is one of the things that brings it into that sphere. Outside of Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, people have been known to call much of the rest of the state Pennsyltucky because of the mountain range running right through it, the Allegheny, which is really essentially a branch of the Appalachians. And this area actually, though, had Italian immigrants and Eastern European immigrants looked over the death records for the area, and there are quite a few of names among those. Those are some of the top names were from that part of the world, as well as homegrown names, or maybe even English and Welsh immigrants that came here to work the coal seams and start making a fortune. This area doesn't really have any famous people per se, but there is a man who has the same name as his town does, you probably heard of, and he grew up in the general area of Pittsburgh, a man by the name of Tom Ridge, who was the assistant for Homeland Security from 2001 to 2003, and then a director of Homeland Security from 2003 to 2005 under Bush 43. He grew up he was born in the coal country in a place called Munhall, which is about 30 miles from here, and then he went to Erie, and I think he still maintains a home in the Erie County area there, but which is a little ways from here. But that's essentially who would hail from here that was very, very famous. I'm sure this is an area that J.D. Vance, our vice president, could definitely relate to. And in his book, Hillbilly Elegy, he talks about his grandparents and his parents and their way of life that he knew. And a lot of folks from eastern Kentucky and West Virginia and eastern Tennessee and such ended up in Pittsburgh if they didn't end up in southern Ohio. Like Columbus or Cincinnati or whatever, they ended up in Pittsburgh. And a fair amount of descendants of people from that region and from that kind of life came from there. And as I said, Pittsburgh is essentially the metro area for Appalachia, the largest one. And Rural Ridge is that in miniature. So coal is all dug out of the ground now, so that's why there's only 22 people. And from what I understand, the estimate for the 15075 zip code is 14 people this year, as there's just no livelihood anymore. Although, because they're so close to Pittsburgh, I reckon you could still live there, just find a job elsewhere doing something else. There's jobs still being created in the Pittsburgh Metro, just not so much in coal anymore. Unless someone has recent knowledge and cares to correct me, I'm all up for it. And since this is a geography channel, we're going to talk about weather. Right now it's 82 degrees and cloudy. Summer is coming on for sure. Low of 68. Tomorrow, high of 85, low of 71. Cloudy, the chance of thunderstorms. Thursday, high of 85, low of 71. Same thing. Friday, high of 83, low of 60. Thunderstorms for sure. That's Rural Ridge. R-U-R-A-L, Ridge. 15075 zip code. All hail to you and the 14 people there in your 0.03 square miles. Anyway, if you like, hit like, leave a comment in the comment section below. If you don't, feel free to throw digital vegetables or fruit or whatever else at me. And we'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.